so many books that I want to read that I just can't make a decision for the life of me. Do that. I need to finish one of the books I've already started. Is this the book I really want to read next? Maybe not, but it's the book I'm going to read next. Hi everyone, and welcome to another reading vlog. I feel like I am in such a slump and it's doing my absolute head in. I'm in one of them reading moods where I'm just starting a whole bunch of books and none are appealing to me. And then another factor playing into my reading slump is there's actually so many books that I want to read that I just can't make a decision for the life of me. So I'm like really conflicted on what I do. So I just thought it would be a fun video for you all if for this week we see if I'm able to get out of my reading slump. So I'm really conflicted on what book to start off with because, as I said, I literally want to read so many things, but like nothing is like sticking with me. Because I'll show you. So I've got a stack of books down here that I'm in the mood for, and I don't know if I should make like a TBR jar and then pull from the TBR jar and just read whichever one's pulled. But these are the 5 books that I've got. Let me grab them. Oh, they're not heavy. So I've got, oh no. We're going to fix that first before I talk you through the books, because I can feel the dust jacket like falling off Arcana Academy. So obviously the first book is Arcana Academy because I just said that. Then I've got, let me grab them. I've got them again. The Last Tiger by Julia something and Brad. A Crane Among the Wolves by June Hurt. House of Bane and Blood by Alexis L. Menard maybe. And then Carissa Broadbent. So I'm going to tell you guys why I'm like so undecided of which ones I want to read. So I want to read this one, which is The Songbird and the Heart of Stone by Carissa Broadbent. I don't know if I actually said the title, but I want to read this book because the sequel is coming out this Friday. So if I read this book, I can then binge read the second book in a couple days. So part of me wants to pick up this book for that reason, and especially because I've pre-ordered the second book, so it makes sense kind of to pick this book up. Then House of Bane and Blood also really makes sense for me to pick it up because I started reading it the other night and I got up to page 60. So I'm partway through this book, so I should honestly read that because I just wanted to see if I wanted to purchase the Bookish Box version. Then these two, there's not really any rhyme or reason why I want to read them. I just am really like drawn to them at the moment. And especially because The Last Tiger is a recent purchase, so I would be knocking that off my TBR. But then A Crane Among the Wolves is a book I've had on there for ages now. And then obviously Arcana Academy. I really want to read this book. 1, because I love Elise Cover. And then 2, because this is a special edition. And I say this in lots of videos, but my rule to myself was if I'm buying special editions, I need to, I need to read them like fairly ASAP. So I'm like, I want to read this book for that reason, but also because I just love Elise Cover and this book just sounds incredible. So I really don't know what to do. So maybe, as I said, I might make a TBR jar including The Songbird and the Heart of Stone, House of Bane and Blood. And then even though I want to read these 2 books, I'm going to wait. And then maybe I'll just choose between these 3. I think that's going to be my plan. So I'll be back in a couple minutes. Okay, so I've made my TBR jar and this looks so sad. I've literally got 3 books in there. Well, 3 book titles. Like, look how cute this is. It's so small. So here's my TBR jar and I'm shuffling them. We're shuffling. Oh no, this one's lit. So now let's just see which book I'll be reading. Oh, I'm so actually scared. This one? Is this one calling my name? This one? I'll show you guys first, hopefully. My eyes are closed. Wait, is it? Oh, okay. I love how I'm kind of disappointed that this is the book I'm reading, but I'm really not. You know what? This is actually a good first book to try and get me out of the reading slump because it's a continuation of a series and I enjoy her books, so this will be my first read of this reading vlog. So, since last night, I've actually managed to read. However, there's kind of been a change of plans, and I'll go through them as I talk about what I did yesterday. So, obviously, I picked up The Songbird and the Heart of Stone by Carissa Broadbent, and unfortunately, I only managed to get up to page 112. So, I didn't get far into this book whatsoever. I'm just finding I'm really struggling with physically reading. It's like every single time I try to sit down and read, I'm just not able to concentrate, and I get so bored so quickly. So part of me was like, maybe I need an audiobook, so when I'm reading I can do other things and pay attention elsewhere and like lock in with two different things, and that actually really ended up helping me. And obviously the audiobook I picked up was not The Songbird and the Heart of Stone, because if it was, I would have been further in than 112 pages. So I'm not going to also tell you guys my thoughts on this book yet, just because I'm at the beginning stages of it, and I want to talk about the other book that I started more, just because that's really the book I can give you some in-depth thoughts about. So, the book I ended up picking up was House of Bane and Blood by Alexis L. Menard, because obviously in the intro to this vlog I said I was 66 pages in, and as you can see by the bookmark, I've managed to make some really good progress. I ended up, as I said, buying the audiobook for this book, and I literally managed to read nearly 200 pages last night, because I started on page 66 and now I'm on page 286, because then I also listened to it this morning. So I have made some really good progress into House of Bane and Blood. I was so tempted to start another book, but I was like to myself, I cannot do that. I need to finish one of the books I've already started, which is why I ended up picking up House of Bane and Blood. So in this world, there are two rival clans, and we are following a character called Camilla, who comes from the Marchese family. And then one day, when she's about to be in an arranged marriage with someone else, Nikolai, from the other warring clan called the Antoinette. No, that's not right. Let me look at it and then I'll tell you. What is their name? Antonio. He's from that family. So these two families do not get along. But then, as I said, before Camilla is about to get engaged to someone else, he ends up paying off the inspectorate so he can have her hand in marriage instead. So we're just following these two as they are in an arranged marriage, and there's tensions between them two because, as I said, they're from two different warring families where the families' histories do not get along. So they're both using each other to get back against the other family. So you've got that tension between the two of them. So it's very much an enemies to lovers story, which normally I like, but I don't love it. Whereas in this book, it's been so much fun, which I wasn't expecting. Actually, that's a lie. That's such a lie. I was expecting to love this book kind of, because I've heard it's compared to like Peaky Blinders. And Peaky Blinders is one of my favourite shows ever. So I just knew I needed to give this book a shot. And I'm so glad I decided to pick this book up, because it's been on my TBR for a while. And I'm actually having a really, really good time with it, which I was expecting, but I'm enjoying it way more than I thought I would. And I've literally got like the tiniest amount left. I think I've got around 2.5 hours of the audiobook left. But I've got just over 100 pages left of this book. So I'm really hoping I will be able to finish it tonight. But that's not my plans right now. I think my plans for the rest of the day is to study. I really should do some uni work, because I took yesterday off. I did nothing, which I really should have, because yesterday was just such a flop, because as I said, I'm really struggling with my reading at the moment, because I'm starting so many books and I'm just finding it near impossible to finish any of them. So I really feel like what I need to do for myself is maybe just start listening to audiobooks and like maybe do a jigsaw puzzle or just multitask, because I was not expecting to read over 200 pages of this book by today. because that means in total I've read around 300 pages over the last 1 and a bit days, which I'm so proud about. But most of it was done last night because I just sat on my phone and I played a game called Gardenscape. I'm obsessed with this game. I've played it for over a decade now. I love it so much. Maybe not that long, but it's been years. So I just really loved playing that game and listening to House of Bane and Blood because it's really helping me get invested in the story and get attached to these characters. And I actually don't even know if I've told you my proper thoughts about this book. So I am really enjoying it so far, but there's just something about it that's not giving me a 5-star feel. It definitely feels like a 4-star read so far. I'm really enjoying the chemistry between Nikolai and Camilla because them two argue so much, and Nikolai is so brutal, and I just love his character so much. And yeah, I'm just having a really good time. I think I'm going to leave this update here for the moment, and then I'll just come back to you guys once I've finished House of Bane and Blood. So yeah, that's my plans for the rest of the day, and I'll give you guys an update once I've managed to finish one of these books, but most likely this book. So I'll see you then. I'm so glad I can tell you all that I've managed to finish a book, which is House of Bane and Blood by Alexis L. Menard. I ended up just binge reading the rest of this book last night, and overall I think I'm going to rate it a 4 out of 5 stars. I'm actually so glad I decided to purchase the audiobook because it made getting through this book so much more easier, so much more enjoyable, and I just had a really fantastic time with this book. It was just, there was something very unique about this fantasy world because it's like no other story I've ever read before, and the way this book ended was incredible. I feel like this was very much a slow build up to an incredible story because at the beginning I wasn't really that invested in the characters. I didn't really care about the story, didn't care about the romance, but by the end I was utterly obsessed with everything about this book. It was just incredible. I cannot wait to read the sequel. I don't know when that will be because I actually don't own the sequel, but I just had so much fun with this book. And as I said, it's a very unique fantasy world, and I just loved the Peaky Blinder feel that this book had, because as I've already mentioned, Peaky Blinders is one of my favourite TV shows, and there was just something about this setting and this world that just made me so invested. I just loved it so much. It was definitely a 4 out of 5 stars. It's not a 5-star. I don't think it's going to become a new favourite series of mine, but I'm just so glad I actually managed to read a book because, as I said in my other update, I've been really struggling with my reading, and I just think it's because my concentration isn't there when I'm trying to do things. Like, as soon as I pick up a book, I get bored within the first 100 pages and then I pick up another one. So I'm so happy, as I've said, I've actually managed to finish a book. Like, that is just brilliant for me because I've been really struggling with my reading. So trying to get out of this reading slump, it might be working because I don't feel like I'm in a proper reading slump yet, because if I was, I just wouldn't be finishing any books. But I feel like because I'm able to read and finish books, I'm just finding that it's taking a lot for me to actually complete a book before I just want to start a new one, which is very frustrating because it's like I really want to be reading more. And that's why I'm so happy I've actually managed to read House of Bane and Blood, and it was a 4-star read. It was a very, very good book. I, going into this book, expected to love it, and I did. Like, I just knew when I heard reviews about this book, it literally sounded like a perfect book for me. And that's why I don't know why this book isn't a 5-star read. Maybe it's because the start of this book I was really struggling with, and it wasn't until I really got more into the story that it actually worked for me. So maybe that's why it's not a 5-star, but it was just an incredible read. So I'm going to keep with the audiobook train going, I think, because I've started, as you all know, The Songbird and the Heart of Stone in this reading vlog. So I would really like to finish this book, but it's just really reminding me of a recent book I've read like a couple of months ago, which is why I'm finding it a bit difficult to really want to pick this book up. But I think I'm just going to pick up the audiobook and get through this book. So then that will be my second book of this reading vlog. But knowing me, this could change. But as I was saying, this is probably going to be my next read. But I don't know when I'm going to start reading today because I've got lots of uni work that I need to do, and then just I need to get ready because I'll be seeing my friend today before she goes away to the UK for 2 months. So that's super exciting, but we're just going to get takeaway and then come back to my house. So I'm super excited for that. But I would also like to make some progress into The Songbird and the Heart of Stone. But I'm like, is this the book I really want to read next? Maybe not, but it's the book I'm going to read next just because I am up to page 112, so I should pick it up. So yeah, I managed to finish my first book of this reading vlog, and it's been my first book in nearly a week now, I think. I don't know. Yeah, I think the last book I read was on the 6th of August. So yeah, I managed to read it and I'm so happy. So I'm going to stop talking and then give you an update once I've finished The Songbird and the Heart of Stone by Carissa Broadbent. So this morning I finished reading The Songbird and the Heart of Stone by Carissa Broadbent, and overall I think I'm going to rate this book a 2 out of 5 stars because it was really just an average read, because in this book we're following a character called Misha, and she was turned into a vampire because she was killed for something that she did in her past, which is when she is saved by a character called Asar, and then them two go on a journey to resurrect the god of death. So it's very much about these two characters as they're just going through the underworld trying to get to the final goal of being able to resurrect the god of death. So Misha is also very devoted to the sun god, so that causes some troubles because she's now a vampire. When she uses the sun god's power, it burns her, so you've got that kind of magic system going on as well, which was interesting. But the amount that she was devoted to the sun god did my head in. She was so just in love with him and infatuated with him that it really annoyed me. But then as I read more of it, it kind of made sense why she was the way she was. And I don't really want to go into why it makes sense because that would be kind of spoilery and I don't want to spoil you guys. And I think I need to put this book here and move across a bit because it's literally blending in with the background. But yeah, so overall I rated this book a 2 out of 5 stars. It was an okay read, but there was nothing very special about it because it just felt so repetitive. Every time they're in this journey for the underworld, they literally go to one place and then they get attacked, and then they move on to the next place and then they get attacked. So it was just I was reading the same scene over and over and over again to the point where I was just so bored and I'm like, when's this going to end? But because I was listening to the audiobook, it wasn't that bad to get through. But I also feel like that impacted my enjoyment of this book because when I was listening to the narrator read for Misha, I was her tone of voice just made Misha even more annoying than she already sounded like when I was reading this book. Because at first I was reading this physically at the start of the week and I was like, I can't read it physically because I was just finding it really hard to get invested. Whereas when I was listening to the audiobook, I found it a whole lot more easier to actually get through this story. But I needed to finish it because I've read most of Carissa Broadbent's works before. I've read the Daughter of No World series and I've read the first 2 books in this series. And Daughter of No Worlds is definitely my favourite book by her, and this might be my least favourite because I just really didn't enjoy it. And I also think that's just because I'm not really a massive fan of stories when characters go down to the underworld. It's not my favourite. And this one in particular, I didn't really care for the cast of characters in it. There was only one character who we met later on in the book that I really liked, and then there was an animal companion who I also liked. But other than that, it was just okay. There was nothing really special about Misha and Asar as the main characters. They were just okay. But I did like how we got to see Misha grow because, as I said, she is so devoted to the sun god, and I just hated the sun god so much. He was absolutely horrible, and I just felt so bad for what Misha had gone through. And I also feel like my enjoyment of this book was impacted due to the fact that I read the first 2 books in this series so long ago, so it's like I didn't really remember what happened in the first 2 books, but I feel like that doesn't really, well, I feel like it did impact my experience with this book, but not that badly. It's like I probably just didn't pick up on some minor details, which I would have if I had have read these books closer together. And I actually pre-ordered the sequel, but because I'm not desperate to dive into it, I'm like, maybe I just hold off on getting it. Like, I just don't know. And I feel like this book, if I had been reading this book physically, I still would have been in a reading slump. I would have just started this and not finished it, because I'm finding sitting down and reading books like really hard. I can't concentrate on them, and I just want it to be over like as soon as possible. And I'm just getting so bored with books recently, whereas when I listened to the audiobook, it made it easier. So I feel like I'm still kind of in a reading slump, and I really need a book to grasp my attention. And this book just unfortunately isn't the book to get me out of my reading slump. But I'm glad I've read a book, because it kind of is also getting me out of my reading slump, because I've managed to read 2 books this week. So yeah, that's my thoughts on The Songbird and The Heart of Stone. I don't think I need to say anything more about it. So my plans now for the rest of the day is I want to edit some videos and upload, because my last week's reading vlog I haven't uploaded yet, which I really need to get a move on. I need to make a thumbnail and do all of that. So I want to do that today. Then I probably want to do some university work. But today I've already had a shower, and I've already done my washing, and I've already finished a book for the day. So that's my plans for the rest of the day. And the book I'm thinking of picking up next is, let me grab it for you, Arcana Academy by Elise Cover. I love how all of the books I'm reading are ones that originally at the start of this video I put in a TBR jar, which was only 3 books, but I'm actually reading the 3 books I was interested in. So I think being able to mood read these books has really helped me this week, because I'm not like doing a specific theme, or literally just trying to get me out of my reading slump. So I think this is going to be my next book, because I'm so desperate to read it, because the plot of this novel just sounds incredible. But I'm not going to read you guys the synopsis, because I'll just tell you what it's about when I've actually started it. So yeah, they're my plans for the day, and hopefully I'll speak to you either today or tomorrow, but it'll most likely be tomorrow, so I'll see you then. Okay, so I'm here to do the last update of this reading vlog, because I've just come back from uni for the day. I've had my shower, but I wanted to give you guys an update because I finished reading Arcana Academy by Elise Clover. And overall, I think I'm going to rate this book a 4 out of 5 stars. It's been a day since finishing this book, and honestly, I can't stop thinking about it. I waited until today to give you guys an update because I wasn't really sure what my rating would be, like if it would be a 3 or a 4 star, because there was problems with it, which I'll get to in a second. But because I keep thinking about it, overall I'm just like, this feels like a 4-star read. So in this book, it's set in this world where the magic comes from inking tarot cards, and we are following a character called Clara, who has been sent to prison for illegally inking these tarot cards, because it's only students of Arcana Academy who are able to ink tarot cards. And one day Clara escapes this prison, and she ends up in this deal with the prince called Prince Karis, and he is also the headmaster of Arcana Academy. And he's like, I will let you stay out of prison if you do this task for me. And the task is, he wants her to help him ink these tarot cards so that he's able to steal his deck from his father. And that's all I'm going to say about this book, because that's all the dust jacket says. So yeah, as I said, overall it's a 4-star read. I actually pleasantly am surprised by how much I enjoyed this book. Well, no, I was expecting to enjoy this book, and I was really anticipating picking it up, but I just didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did, because my major problem with this book is it felt like this story just did so much info dumping, which made it really hard for me to be able to grasp what the actual magic system was. I just feel like Elise Cover just spent way too much time explaining in like long passages about certain things, and it caused me to get really confused. So I don't really have a good grasp on how this, as I said, magic system works, which then made for this book to be a bit unenjoyable because I just spent so much of it being like, oh, what is happening? So I did struggle with that aspect of this book. But the thing that really worked for me was just how much I loved the characters. I adored them. Prince Keris, I think that's how you say his name, and Clara are some of my favourite characters I've read about in a long time, because so far I've had so many 2-star reads. Because if you see my video where I read my August TBR, it was just 2-star after 2-star after 2-star. Whereas this is a 4-star, and it's the first 4-star I've had in a long time. Even though I've had 4 stars in this vlog, but I took a break on filming this to do my August video, which therefore meant I just had lots of 2-star reads in a row. I think it was like 5 2-star reads in a row. It was actually horrific. So managing to get a 4-star is a breath of fresh air. And then I'm super excited to find out where this story goes, because my other issue with this book is it felt like absolutely nothing happened, because we're literally just following Clara's journey at this academy as she's trying to solve a mystery as well, which I don't know if it says. Yeah, no, it doesn't say what she's trying to find out about, but she's also got this like ulterior motive to why she agreed to go to Arcana Academy. And I also love the fact that Clara like was his fake fiance, because I always love when you've got romances and it's like a fake relationship dynamic. So that trope I really enjoyed seeing. And I did actually really enjoy the academic scenery. I found that to be really cool. Like the school that she went to was super interesting, and I just had a really good time with it. But as I said, nothing really happened in this book until we got to the end, and now it's left off in this place where I'm like, I want the second book because I need to find out what is going to happen next, because as I said, the spot we left off in was absolutely crazy. So it was kind of predictable, because like there were certain hints that was dropped and it was like you could kind of see that this was the direction it was going in. But I did have a good time with this book, as I've said, and I don't think I really want to go out into any more thoughts. So the point of this whole video was to try and get out of a reading slump. I definitely feel like I'm out of a reading slump, because now I've got to a point where before I'm going to bed, rather than scrolling on social media, I'm reading, and I'm actually forcing myself to finish the books I'm currently reading. Because, for example, Arcana Academy, it took me a while to get through. I was like struggling to pick it up, but then I was just like, no, Lauren, this was a video you're filming, so you need to get this book read. And I felt like that really actually worked for me, so that was super good. So I do feel like I've got out of my reading slump, which was the whole purpose of this video. So in this video for you all, I managed to read 3 books. So the first one was House of Bane and Blood by Alexis L. Menard, which got a 4 out of 5 stars. The second one was The Songbird and the Heart of Stone, which got 2 stars. And then Arcana Academy, which got 4 stars. And I love how at the start of this video I put all of these books into a TBR judge, so I'm super happy that I actually managed to read all of the books that I wanted to and set out to read. So, oh, it's damaged. Oh yeah, I knew it was damaged. Sorry, I keep getting so distracted. So, as I said, overall this reading vlog was successful because I've got out of my reading slump and I managed to read 3 books, 2 of which has been on my TBR for ages now, and 1 is a new release. So I feel super glad about the books I picked up for this video. 1, because as I said, these 2 have been on my shelf for forever, but then 2 is because with Arcana Academy, it's a Fairy Loot edition, so it's actually showing that I'm reading my special editions, because I say this in so many videos, but one of my rules to myself was if I get special editions, I need to read them, otherwise I have to cancel. So I'm actually so glad that I've read this within, I think, a month of receiving it, so that's super good. So these are the 3 books I managed to read in this video for you all, and I think I'm just going to stop talking here because I've really got nothing else to say other than I hope to see you next time, and bye.